Okay, I have Allie Krupp with me today, and I'm so excited to chat with her. One of my most best friends is opening a brand new business in the Coeur d'Alene, North Idaho area, Hayden. So thank you, Allie, for chatting with me today.
I'm so excited. Thanks for having me.
Yes. So first, tell us a little bit about you, kind of where your background is into now. You're about to open up a really cool, I'll let you describe it so you can tell us what you're opening up here next month.
Yeah, so I'm an Idaho native. I've grown up and born and raised in North Idaho my whole life. Love it here. It's amazing. I've spent the last 14 years of my career in hospitality management. I managed a hotel prior to this and just left that in June, which was super daunting and scary. My husband and I decided to just kind of go out and do our own thing and start a new business. And we looked around at what Coeur d'Alene and this northern part of Coeur d'Alene, we're up by Lake City High School, is lacking. And there's kind of a fun need for frozen yogurt and something fun for families to do that's low cost. So we're starting a frozen yogurt business with beer and wine, which is super exciting. And so we're gonna have some small bites like paninis, and we're partnering with some other local businesses for other food stuff. So it should be pretty fun.
Yeah, this is so exciting. I love the concept. Like, what made you guys, and I know you said what is it lacking? Is there something that it drew you and Mitch to like, hey, we want frozen yogurt, or we've always wanted to start frozen yogurt, or we wanted to start a business?
Yeah, we kind of just want, we both are kind of, sometimes you're a slave to your job sometimes, and we want a little bit more freedom, and which is double-edged because running a business doesn't necessarily give you your own freedom, but eventually we'd like to have more freedom in that light. We kind of just thought, we're brainstorming at what kind of a business would we want to run? What am I good at? And I'm really good at customer service. My hotel always did really well. I'm good at training people. I'm good at leading people. And so we thought, what's something that we could do in that market? And food service really is similar to the hospitality industry. It all boils down for me. Obviously, you want to have a great product, but having excellent customer service, and that's something that I'm really good at and I can shine there. So we kind of just brainstorm off of that, and some friends gave us some feedback on what they felt the market needed as well too, and here we are. So,
and the name is
32 Below Frozen Yogurt and More. And then the other thing on that too is we kind of looked at, we need frozen yogurt, and as you know the story, I told my husband, I was like, we should do beer and wine. Like, the location we wanted is excellent. We're right next to Lake City High School off of Ramsey and Hanley, and the Maverick gas station right there. And they're doing a pizza place. There's a Poke Works, which is amazing. And I thought, let's do beer and wine. Nobody else is doing that. And really, there's a huge market for it. There's families that, maybe you don't want frozen yogurt, but maybe the kids want frozen yogurt, and you kind of just feel like having a beer or a glass of wine. And
yes.
So we can kind of hit everyone's wants or desires in that way.
And I think it's really cool in that area. There is pizza, there is a stretch lab, there is Poke, there's everything, but it is neat to be like, oh, you can take your kids in, and the layout's beautiful of like, hey, the kids can eat and play a little bit, and mom can have a glass of wine after a long day or a soccer game.
You run everybody around all the time. It's like sometimes I just want to relax, but that's a fun treat and a good thing for the kids too. So, everybody loves frozen yogurt. So
yeah. Exactly. Do you guys have any plans in there of like different things you're going to offer besides, I know you and I've talked about it, like your, any projects or things that you could do, whether it's parties or anything along those lines?
I'm going to try and brainstorm that a little bit. Obviously with this season, opening a business in COVID and all of that is difficult. So we'll have to figure out what we can do with the health department, but I'm absolutely going to look into figuring out, maybe we can find a way that we can rent it out for birthdays. You can do private parties. I'd like to kind of brainstorm and maybe do offset events eventually. We'll get our feet underneath us for this first little bit, and then really the options are endless for us. We also chose not to do a franchise, one, because I couldn't find any franchise companies that allow beer and wine along with that. But I ran a franchise hotel before, and while there's pros of running a franchise, there's also a lot of cons, obviously with royalties, and then they kind of make the rules for you, which is great, but it also really limits what your options are. And so that was my big goal with opening this. If we're going to do it, I want to make all the rules, and I want to be able to, if we want to do an offsite event, or if maybe we want to start offering another food option, we have all of that available to us. So
yeah, and then you guys can put your personal touch on it, which you can't with a franchise. It has to be very corporate.
Right. So yeah, I mean, that gives us the option. We can do little events like that. Maybe, I mean, if ideally, I have a few little exciting things I'm hoping to do for our opening weekend that probably not a lot of other places did for their opening weekends, and events and stuff. And I think that Andrel Development has been amazing. They're the ones that we're leasing the building from,
Yeah.
and they have been great. And I think that they are similarly business minded as we are, and really community driven. And that's a great partnership for us. So I think that we have some really good opportunities with them and our local businesses, the Fire Brick Oven Pizza, excuse me, and Pokeworks and all of them, to do some cool events together and partner up too.
Yeah. So how did you get the name 32 Below?
We kind of just brainstormed forever, and we had a lot of people come in. Some of my husband's really quirky name ideas, and we kind of just, we had some really good ones. Some of the guys that his friends, they were all throwing out names. Ultimately, our realtors, Kat and Corey, Aaron, they were like, hey, we have this great idea, this great name. And they said 32 Below, and it was like, well, that kind of works because it's freezing and it's kind of catchy. And so I was like, I don't want to steal your idea. And they're like, we're never doing this. So take yours. And I said, it's great. It really is fitting, and it's got some good punch to it. So I think I like it. It's fun.
Do you have an open date yet?
It might be August 10th is kind of where we're leaning
Somebody's birthday.
Somebody's birthday. Happy birthday. Get to work a lot, which I mean is great. But as of now, I think that's probably the soonest we'll be able to open. Construction has been an interesting ride. We were on a great path, and then COVID happened, and then a lot of contractors had availability, but then all of a sudden Washington's construction opened back up, and now they don't have availability. So it kind of, now everybody put everything on hold. Now everybody's back to go. So we have a few delays, but that's okay. We only need a little time to get our bearings about us before we're fully open and ready to go.
Yeah, and I was going to ask about that. How have you dealt with the COVID with this? Because when you dream this up, when you sign the papers, when you start going, you're like, oh, we're going. And then you have to stay home, and there's a pandemic, and you can't go anywhere, and you can't do anything. How's that affected you guys?
We were hoping to be open by now. I mean, honestly, we were hoping to open in like May. And now in hindsight, like that was a really rough season for us. And honestly, at one point we kind of looked at it and thought about maybe we just back out altogether. And we really looked at it and thought that this can't last forever. I mean, like the economy cannot last like this forever. And really, frozen yogurt, we have flexibility on ways we can deliver that. So we can do takeout, we can do delivery options, we can brainstorm that. But I also look at it as a pretty low cost way for families, even if you're being very much affected by COVID. You can still find $10-15 to go and take your family for frozen yogurt, or order it, or whatever that looks like in the season with COVID. It's a great way to kind of boost morale. I mean, I know food shouldn't be your go-to and your treat all the time, but sometimes like families can find a way to budget that still. So we decided not to bail on that. The other positive of this COVID thing is, at least now we have an idea of what to expect, how to operate our business. I can now pre-plan for what things we need to put in place to make sure that we're offering our services in a safe and healthy manner, with extra sanitization and making sure that we've got our toppings individually packaged if that's what we need to do. So it did give us a little bit of preparedness for if, let's all hope it doesn't happen, if this does come back in the fall and we go back to stage 1, hopefully not. We can at least get our feet under us a little bit better than we would have had we been open.
Yeah, you can be fully prepared for kind of anything.
Right. So that's kind of beneficial. And now I can stock up. Now that everybody has toilet paper again, like we can get that going. We're going to have toilet paper.
Exactly. Yeah. So a little bit about you. What is your go-to music?
Gosh, my go-to music. I really love, I love Stevie Nicks, and I don't listen to it as often because my husband is not, Mitch, he's really into all his pop, and I like that too. That's fun. But I really love Stevie Nicks. One of my most favorite albums, and it's from a movie, but one of my most favorite albums is the Practical Magic album. If you haven't listened to it, I love it. Like, it is the most perfect mix of just, I love it. That's one of my most favorite albums.
I'm glad you said that. Now it makes me want to like listen to it after this.
If you haven't listened to just the album, like it is good. It's
so
really
good.
You will like.
And favorite restaurant besides 32 Below soon. Favorite place to go, like have dinner, like a good go-to place at your favorite food.
Bardenay is always a really good option. They always have something for everyone and a good atmosphere. I know it's not like a dinner restaurant, but we're super hooked on Pokeworks now. Like we literally just ate Pokeworks for lunch before I got on this call with you. Like, we're pretty obsessed. If you guys haven't tried Pokeworks, Jill, the owner over there, is amazing, and they're killing it, and I'm super proud of them. Pokeworks
I still haven't tried it. I've been wanting to, still haven't tried it.
Oh, it's the best. Like, it's the best. It's super good. It's worth it, and it's really good.
So what is one piece of advice you would give a younger Allie?
I know you asked this question, and I've thought about it a little bit, but I didn't know you were going to ask this question. I just, I'm listening to your podcast. I know it's one. And so I've thought about that a little bit. And, I don't know that I would give my younger self very much. I think that if I could go back and give my younger self information, I wouldn't be where I'm at today. Like, I wouldn't have made the decisions I made along the way to get me where I'm at right now. And obviously we all have our ups and downs and have made poor decisions or decisions we wish we'd have done differently. I think my future self would be somebody I need to talk to my future self. And I want to talk to my daughter. Like, if anybody I want to give advice is I want to live my life now. Don't make yourself so small. Don't feel like you need to be small to fit in. And it's okay to be loud and have opinions and have a voice. And I don't think I always did that. And so I think for me, it's important for me to remind myself to continue to speak up, continue to stand up for myself and stand up for my business and be strong, and tell myself that moving forward, and make sure that my daughter and my family and my close friends know that all the time too.
Yeah, that's perfect. Especially if you know Allie, if you're listening, you're like, I know Allie. Allie's got a strong personality, and her daughter does too. So
very much.
Spitting image. I have a feeling she might take over your business.
Oh yeah, she's probably basically running it like next week. It's gonna open, and she's gonna be like, "What were you doing here? Why are we running this?"
Yeah, and she has like a presentation. She's gonna be like, "Mom, we can do things a little bit better."
I think we could do better here. Yeah, she's gonna come in and rule the world, and I hope for that. If she comes in strong, and I mean, her personally, and if she continues on that path, it's like sometimes we butt heads, and all mothers go through that, especially with daughters, I think. But I wouldn't change it for the world. Like the world needs more strong people, but especially more strong women. And I think for so long, and especially in our age too, we started to change that a little bit, but women are always so oppressed, and we're always told to be smaller and told to be quieter and told to behave a little bit, and not to encourage anyone to misbehave, but just do your thing. Like, be strong and stand up for yourself and stand up for what you believe in and go for all the stuff. Like,
yeah. Well, that's what you're doing.
Yeah. I mean, I was so afraid to do all these things, and here I am, and I'm like, I've had all of these roller coaster of emotions this entire time. And that, like, I've talked to you personally about it, but like all of a sudden one day I thought, what were you thinking? You can't do this. And I'm like, you're insane. Like, you've never owned a business like this, and what are you doing? And it's been incredible. It's been an incredible experience. I can't speak highly enough about all the people who've basically come out of the woodwork, or I've reached out and I've said, hey, you're killing it in this area. Like, there are some prominent business women, especially in our community, that I've reached out and I know of them, or I have acquaintances with them. And I've said, hey, you're killing it here. Like, I'm doing this, and I would love your feedback. Like, I would love any information you'd be willing to give me. And these women are so forthcoming with their information. I recently just had one lady, I was like, hey, can I come in and check out your kitchen? Like, how are you setting these things up? Like, what tips can I take? And she was like, absolutely, get in here. And I'm like, it's incredible. Like, we have to support each other, and it's been the most amazing experience. And that's what gives me the fuel of, I know I can do this, because it's not just me. It feels alone sometimes, but it's not just me. There's so much support, and it's amazing.
Yeah, exactly. So say I'm starting a new business, or someone's listening and they're on that fence of like, hey, I'm going to start a new business, but I'm like where Allie is, like, I've never done this. Right. What is one piece of advice you'd give someone going in headfirst into owning their own business?
This is actually advice I got from you. I
Oh,
would say just to network. Like you constantly are reminding, and you have been a driving force for me in that. And there are times where I'm like, I wouldn't normally reach out to someone. I reached out to a business owner here in town. I was like, I literally was like, you're killing it. You're doing a great job. I'm doing something similar, not the same, but similar. And you did just what I'm doing. You started it all on your own, and she's been an amazing resource. Don't be afraid to reach out to those people, network with those people. Half the time, someone has information that they're willing to share with you. You and I personally have a friend that's going to start a business soon too. And I recently was talking to her and I was like, hey, these are the things that I've been learning along the way. And these are the steps you're going to have to take to try and get to that point. Like you thought you could do it that way. I thought so too. You can't. The state won't allow that. Or, just don't be afraid to network. Communicate with your community. That's what we're here for. And Coeur d'Alene's a great community in that way. So
I mean, that's perfect, because that's exactly what it is. And we want to help. Like when someone asks us for help, I get excited. I'm like, I can help you. I have this knowledge, like you said, with the people you've met with. I know you've met with a couple women I know, and I mean, they're a wealth of knowledge.
Oh my goodness. It's the most incredible thing. I've been so overwhelmed that so many people are willing to just help you. And I think that was been, when I say that to have a voice and to ask questions, that's what I mean. It's like, I think for a long time I was too afraid. I didn't think that I was deserving of that. And that's absolutely incorrect. Like we all have something to give. And I think that as women, sometimes we just make ourselves feel smaller, or that we're not enough, or we're not deserving of those things. And you are. Like there are so many people that are willing to help you. You just have to ask. And that's really, and just make networks, like make connections with people.
Exactly.
Just like you literally always tell us. And I
well,
love it.
Right.
And I appreciate it so much, because you've been a driving force in that. So thank you.
So we were out on the boat the other day, and she gets a phone call, people wanting to come inside your business already. Everyone's excited. So what is the best way to follow you, to see what you're doing, to know when you're going to open? What is the best way, or get a hold of you? Maybe someone out there wants to help. How do they get a hold of you?
You can get a hold of us on Instagram or Facebook right now. Our website, it should be finalized and launched hopefully within the next week or so. Facebook or Instagram handle is at 32 below Froyo. You can always email us or call us too. Our contact information is on there. Right now, it's just my cell phone number, which I did not know was published, clearly, which is fine. But I just, I'm answering all these calls, and you were there. We answer the phone. I'm like, oh, no, we're not open yet. It's been pretty awesome. I love it.
I think our community, they're ready. They're ready for you to open. They're excited, especially in that part of the neighborhood, that part of town. There's not much. And so all these families and are like, open up. We're ready for a glass of wine and froyo.
They're going to have some fun stuff for our sleeves. We did some testing for beer and wine yesterday, and we found we're going to do some adult floats. And I've got some pretty good ones up my sleeve. So I'm pretty excited.
Of course you do. Of course you do. Well, thank you so much, Allie. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. Talk to you soon.
Bye. Thanks for listening to Keeping Tabs. I'm Tabitha Kroc, and every Monday I release a podcast about different community members here in North Idaho. And then we end the weeks on Fridays with a podcast about the things I'm passionate about: outdoors, adventures, sports, the van life, and even current events. So if you like what you heard, make sure you subscribe to my YouTube, Spotify, or iTunes. Thank you again. Now go be kind and do something great.